Welcome to News9 Live, and you are watching On Point with me. And before I introduce you to today's On Point, let's take a quick look at the headlines. Jaishankar gives tough message to Pakistan, says terror activities across the border won't boost trade. Fuel tanker explosion kills over 90 people in Nigeria. Indigo flight from Mumbai to Delhi diverted after bomb threat, 12th incident in 2 days. Want to make my government inclusive, says Omar Abdullah after appointing Jammu's Surinder Chaudhary as Deputy Chief Minister. Naib Singh Saini elected as Haryana BJP legislature party leader to take oath as Chief Minister on October 17th. Muda chairperson quits amid land row involving Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. Cites health reasons. DNS allowance hiked by 3% for all central government employees ahead of Diwali. Bengaluru continues to witness heavy rains. Disaster response force personnel deployed. Superstar Rajnikant's house flooded as rains continue to batter Chennai. In the special edition of On Point, we will talk about MHA's Manipur peace meet, which was attended by Kuki, Meitei and Naga MLAs, with Dr. Seilen Haokip, senior leader and spokesperson of Kuki National Organization. The KNO is a political organization that advocates for the rights of the Kuki people in Manipur. The Kuki National Organization, the United People's Front umbrella organizations representing 24 groups, signed the suspension of the operations pact with the Government of India and the Manipur government in 2008. It has been periodically extended since then. Now, without wasting any more time, let's go across to Dr. Seilen Haokip. Dr. Haokip, what is your first impression of the first meeting?
I can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now, Dr. Haokip?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So my question to you, Dr. Haokip, is what is your first impression of the first meeting in context of the statement that was issued by Ministry of Home Affairs on the peace meet?
Yes, I was a little puzzled because I was under the impression that the meeting of the collective, if I can put it that way, was not to take place yesterday because the Kuki MLAs had planned to meet with the representatives of the MHA separately first. And I was made to understand that a meeting did take place exclusively between the MHA reps and the Kuki MLAs, and that was it. Now, of course, having said that, what the MHA statement mentioned which is positive, is that innocent people should not be affected in the situation that Manipur has been reeling under for the last 17 months. So, yes, I have read a number of newspaper reports today, and one of the two says similar to what the MHA statement has been posted, and the others talk about the fact that a collective meeting did not take place. The meeting was exclusively between the MHA reps and the Kuki MLAs. So apart from that, I think overall see, me being a spokesperson of KNO, and we are in dialogue with the government, I'm a firm believer in dialogue taking place between concerned parties over issues that need to be resolved, and particularly in the case of Manipur, there needs to be dialogue amongst various relevant parties, and of course the MHA is the body responsible for the issues involved, and in the state of Manipur there are Kukis and Nagas and Meiteis. They do need to also talk, but it appears on this first instance there was a little bit of confusion, and from what I've heard since yesterday's meeting, the Kuki MLAs have asked or proposed to the MHA that there should be ample time given to them in view of any such meetings being arranged, so that they can carry out due process of consultations with our people, such as the civil society organizations, the SO members as well, and of course among themselves too.
Mr. Haokip,
So, yes.
this brings me to a part of the sub part of this discussion, which is there is an impression, you use the word consultation, that there's an impression that the Kuki legislators, elected MLAs, are under pressure from the Kuki organizations. Now, is it correct for CSOs and organizations like you to have an overbearing view on these MLAs who have been elected by the people?
Why do you say that? Where did you get that from? We have not put any pressure on them. The only pressure that should be there at all is something that they should not consider pressure, but the need for proper consultations with the stakeholders of the community for such an important meeting. So I don't think there's any pressure coming from anybody other than the fact that due process must be followed.
Dr. Haokip, this meeting was not attended by the top functionaries of MHA, the top functionaries. Your comment, was it expected, or you expected that this is the first meeting, so the top heads wouldn't be there?
I think technically MHA representatives are there to represent the Home Minister, and in that technicality I don't see any problem as such, but given the situation that we have been reeling under for so long within the country, I would emphasize, then yes, it would have been more appropriate and honorable to the senses of the people concerned that somebody other than those who were there on the panel yesterday from the MHA side, such as maybe the Home Minister himself or perhaps a Minister of State being present at that meeting. That would be, that is most desirable, and I hope at the next meeting something like that will happen, and if there's then a next meeting planned.
Can similar meetings be held in Manipur, in the hill areas or the valley?
I don't think so. I think for all practical purposes under the circumstance, Delhi is the most appropriate place where everyone would feel they are, reasonably being attended to.
Dr. Haokip, can you say that 6th schedule in operation can be a meeting point?
Not anymore. That would have been most suitable, and that was what was on the cards as such pre-3rd May 2023. Now all that is water under the bridge, and it's absolutely impossible to go back to now. We can only go forward. We simply can't go backward.
Why do you say that? I mean to say in terms of autonomy, ability to manage funds, help out people. All that can be done through the 6th schedule.
But our gripe or our situation is not about funds primarily. It's about our existence. You know what happened from 3rd of May 2023? We were ethnically cleansed and genocide was inflicted upon us. And till date, you still hear from very vehement organizations to annihilate the Kukis. So for us, the most important part is our safe existence. And that simply cannot happen in the context of the status quo that is over. Now we need a newer arrangement where not only our lives are secured, but our developmental concerns, our governance, and all is taken care of course, within the Constitution of India. And this is why, from last year, 3rd May onwards, our MLAs were the first to submit a representation to the Union Home Minister for a separate administration, and in subsequent months, during SOO meetings with the government's representatives, SA was defined as a UT with legislature, and we see that is the only way, not only to secure our lives, but also to take care of our needs for governance and development so that we can be at par with our counterparts in the rest of the country.
But Dr. Haokip, do you think that SA would be so easy to implement? I mean to say that there are strong views against this also.
Well, I would ask those people bearing such views, which is stronger or more important than the lives of people such as us that have gone through hell from last year, 3rd May onwards, let alone the last 50 years of deprivation socially, politically, economic rights, etc. Now, which is more important to life? The apprehensions or viewpoints of those who are not victims of this calamity to be in Delhi and elsewhere in the country and talk about what is better for us. We know what is best for us, and we are rational. We are not demanding the moon. We are not asking for independence from the country. We are only asking for our constitutional rights. And there, given the circumstance and all the facts involved, if we are denied what we are asking for, those who are, at that end of the sort of spectrum, who are not victims of genocide and ethnic cleansing, they have the luxury to say what is possible and what is not. This is for the government to decide. And let's see what kind of attitude and deliberations they come up with, given the reality on ground.
Mr. Haokip, it's easier said than done because it does not only include the sentiments of one community. I mean to say, when you talk about separate administration, it includes the Meiteis also, it includes the Nagas also. There is a question of the territorial integrity of the state. There is a larger question of state reorganization. There is a due process in Indian constitution how you reorganize the states. Under Panditji, the states were organized on the linguistic lines, not on ethnic lines.
Okay, let me respond to what you just listed out. When India gained independence, how many states were there? 12. And the constitutional fathers put together the constitution with the vision that India was going to grow into in the next 70 odd years. Now, those 12 states have become 28 now, and you have 8 union territories. What are the criteria, please tell me, for creation of new states and UTs? Could you please list some for me, if you don't mind?
Dr. Haokip, if you recall, I'll give you 3 examples. Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. The division was not on the linguistic lines, they were more on the administrative and developmental issues.
So you're saying those are part of the criteria for creation of new states?
The political impetus. When you talk about Telangana, Telangana's demand was even historical. It was older. It was a separate cultural unit. Since you have asked me in the interview, since you have asked the question to me, since you have, since you have asked the question to me, I have answered your question. I have answered your question.
Okay. Then let me respond with from my side. States and UTs are created, maybe for area, for linguistics may be part of the criteria, then maybe developmental issues, and maybe other deprivations from the majority aspect of any existing state in the country. Now, we qualify for all those, and to top all those, we are the only ones in the country who have been victims of genocide and ethnic cleansing. So that has not been a part for any of the other states' creation or UTs. And we say UT because it's small, and we are a small population as well as in area. But our area is still bigger than the state of Sikkim, for example. Now, having said that, if given our circumstance, which is unique because of the last two criteria that I cited, which is genocide and ethnic cleansing, if we are not given what we have asked for, despite qualifying for the rest of the criteria mentioned, and there may be more, then those who are against giving us our demand are going against the Constitution.
Mr. Haokip, you didn't answer a part of my question.
Please repeat.
That the part of the question is that how can a community have a say on a land when other communities are involved? I mean to say, I speak to a lot of Naga people, Meitei lawmakers. How can other communities?
I got your point. Thanks for refreshing my memory on that. Yes,
okay.
On that.
So how can their point of view be disregarded? They also have a sense of history, culture.
Don't disregard their views. I will answer that question. Now, again, the response to that specific question is there is a precedence for dealing with land issues and communities. Now, take the Pondicherry model. There are two districts within the boundary of Tamil Nadu, one in Andhra Pradesh and one in Kerala, and the headquarters is in Pondicherry. All four districts come under the Pondicherry governance without disrupting the territory or community that exists in either Tamil Nadu or Andhra Pradesh or Kerala. Similarly, in our case, if you look at the districts, take Kangpopi for instance. There are Nepalese, there are Nagas also, and in Upru there are Kukis, there are Nagas also, and similarly in the other districts as well. Now, if we have our UT, those people in those districts, if they want to be a part of this administrative group under our UT, then they are welcome to. And Nagas in the districts that I refer to, if they want to be a part of the administrative arrangement, say example, UT for the Nagas, they can have that. So without disturbing the territorial, the land aspect, the people can be a part of that administration. And why is that possible? Because it's within the Union of India. Now, so there's a clear precedence which permits this. So why aren't people looking at those realities? They are more important than, just simply denying somebody their rights on the basis of what they know.
Dr. Haokip, before I close this aspect of our conversation, why can't the most contentious issue of the territorial integrity of Manipur be set aside, and other issues where the positions are vertical, some flexibility can be shown from both sides so that the peace prevails? Because if you read that MHA printout, it says that let's work towards creating a peaceful environment. In diplomacy, there are certain vexed issues, but you go for certain other issues which can be resolved. Why can't those issues be resolved? Other issues be resolved? For example, deweaponizing the entire state?
Yes, deweaponizing will happen when the political settlement takes place. And what is paramount here is not the territorial integrity of a state. The Indian Constitution, Article 3, talks about the territorial integrity of the country, not a state. The state's boundaries can be altered. It can be decreased, it can be increased, and that is absolutely appropriate. Now, if you are insisting on the territorial integrity of a state, then that is seditious almost. It doesn't exist in the provisions of the Constitution of India.
Dr. Haokip, I'm not the spokesperson of the any community, I'll ask one more question on this issue, then I'll move on because I know there's a limitation of time and I have my questions ready. But any territorial reorganization, if it creates bitterness, how will it fructify? If it creates bitterness in the other communities which have been, listen to me, if they have been living here historically like Meiteis and the Nagas, how will it lead to a solution? Has any territorial reorganization within the country which has created bitterness has fructified for the welfare of people? Does it really work out in long run?
Are you saying those states that have been created out of the former entity under the 12 states of India happened with everybody agreeing? If it happened, that was very good. In certain cases, it happened because that was appropriate, and the measure of or the criteria for decision was the importance of the need for creating those states and UTs, and that's why they have been created. How should that be an exception for us? How do you say that the territorial integrity of Manipur is paramount and sacrosanct? On what basis?
Okay.
Our lands, the hills, are what our forefathers fought the colonialists for. We want those lands of ours, which we have tried being a part of the state for so long, and now, since last year, we have been chased out, ethnically cleansed, genocide follows, and how do you want us to allow our lands, which we have had from our forefathers' days, to be a part of the state entity which has been completely detrimental to us? We are only asking for our lands to be integrated in the Union of India.
I know.
If you want us to be a part of the country. If you don't want us to be a part of the country, we'll go with our land somewhere, I suppose.
Dr. Haokip, when we talk about peace resolutions, peace movement, don't you think that some sort of flexibility be shown by political actors like you or the organization you represent?
Precisely. This is the time for the Valley people to show flexibility and stop begrudging us what is our due. We were denied all our rights under the ADC for the last 50 odd years. And today, after being chased out, we want to survive and we ask for political constitutional safeguards, and we are being denied again. Should our future be, should our lives be determined by people's acceptance or refusal? Aren't they going to show some flexibility, allow us to have our own rights according to what we know is best for us? But why are we being made the sort of ogre for those who are asking for their safety and their future?
Dr. Haokip, it is so contested, but you have used the word genocide multiple times. I didn't stop you, but the fact is the other community also has this point of view. They feel that they have been targeted by the Kuki militants. They have been under attack
in that sense that it's a retaliation.
No, I told you before the interview, Dr. Haokip, we will not have a slanging match. We will have a polite conversation. And we agreed, yes.
The time factor, makes you feel a bit hasty.
We can both agree to disagree. Other communities can also feel that they are besieged. Their historical lands have been taken over, and their historical land is being divided. And the reports were very clear. It was not one-way violence. The violence happened from both the sides. Both churches and temples were burnt, if you're talking about 2023. So the violence happened from both the sides. It was not a one-way street.
You are right, Kartikeya. Violence then erupted on both sides. Where it began, let's not go into that. Now, till date also, Kukis do not go down into the valley to attack anybody. The reverse has happened consistently since last year. And regarding temples, we have not burned anybody's temples. Our buildings, etc., were burned. Our church buildings were burned. Meitei community have this tradition of place of worship within their houses. Those may have been burnt, but no temples outside, exclusively standing on its own, have ever been burnt. So let's get our facts straight, Kartikeya.
But then the pictures were out there. Those are also temples. Even if those temples are there within the premises, those are sacred
Not the
spots.
premises, they're usually inside the house, not outside. You go to a traditional
But what difference does that make? Sacred space, places of worship?
See, we were attacking the houses because our house had been attacked. Now, if the temple inside, in that case, within our homes also there are crosses hanging on the wall. Those are additional items of, related to the temple that have been burned. So let's not draw parallels over ground realities.
You're mistaking me for a spokesperson. I'm the one who's supposed to ask you questions, Dr. Haokip, not representing other communities, because our conversation and my request to you was to understand the position and the place you come from in the context of the Manipur violence. So you are saying that there can be no meeting point, there can be no meeting ground, there can be no space which your organization can agree with the Meitei point of view or the Naga point of view or the other point of view. Let me not take the name of the community, the other point of view. Can't there be any convergence?
There can be convergence provided we go to a neutral position. And the only thing neutral here is the Constitution. We cannot be completely neutral. There'll be a degree of subjectivity given what we have faced, and so will the other communities. So the only neutral point is the Constitution, and that's why countries have constitutions. And that is the basis to arrive at an amicable settlement.
But an amicable settlement which leads to bitterness, will it work out?
Yeah. See, Kartikeya, if I may, you are looking at things from the perspective that Manipur belongs to the Meitei people. Manipur of today is a construct of the British.
Dr. Haokip, I'm also saying that Manipur also belongs to Meitei people, because in your narrative, if you hear yourself again, once our interview is over, it comes across that the hill areas only belong to the Kuki people. I'm saying it belongs to the Manipuris.
No, see, you are projecting present-day norms into the past, as I've often mentioned this before. What was Manipur historically is Kanglei Park, and that's the valley. For the last 2 millennia, Kanglei Park has been in the valley. The hills have never been a part of the Meitei kingdom. That is a historical fact. But after the British came, we came under the same administration. Even there, the hills were administered separately. Then India gained independence, and what the British laid out were reinforced, and which we thought will work and we were part of for the last so many years. But now it is clear that the valley people have this misconception that today's political map of Manipur was always in the past too, which is a misconception completely. And that has fueled the idea of this Manipur belonging only to the Meiteis. It is not.
You are an academician. Let me engage the other part of you.
Please.
You're an academician. Your idea of history, and I'm not going to get into it that yours is fact and their idea is a myth and narrative. Even Meiteis have their idea of history. It is a contest. Your idea of history is contested by the other communities. So my question is, I am not the official historian or an expert on the history of Manipur. Obviously, I am not. But when the histories are being contested for a political problem which is on your face, I'm saying, what are the spaces that can be created? I mean, so can't there be a solution for those 60,000 people in the camps, Dr. Haokip, who are languishing, internally displaced people? Can't we take care of the extortion rackets? Can't roads be made safe? Can't we have a better system where people can travel to other areas? I mean, the questions might sound naive to you. I'm saying that the question might sound naive to you, but my intention is not wrong, because that is what I believe as the citizen of this country, that peace must prevail in Manipur. If we can get Punjab right, and if we can, our forces can do a damn good job in Jammu and Kashmir, we can, if we can get Mizoram right, we can also get Manipur right.
You're right, Kartika, and I appreciate that attitude. Now, referring back to the histories being contested, that's why I said we need a neutral yardstick to go ahead. And the Constitution is the only valid neutral position that we can resolve issues with. So, and we all want to live peacefully with one another. We need peaceful coexistence. And at the moment, because of what has happened since last year, as somebody has said, you know, good fences make good neighbors. And we need this political fence to be secured so that we can coexist in peace and without us or them feeling under threat.
Dr. Haokip, I would then ask you, these are the trying times. There is a government which is hostile to the Indian interest in Bangladesh. Myanmar is a failed state. We have a problem with China. The border is active. Isn't it in India's interest, our interest, to resolve this issue?
And that's precisely why we are in SOO. And why is the state of Manipur against SOO, which is meant for peace and so that dialogue can take place and we have a settlement?
Parties feel that, I don't think they feel that the time for these agreements have to go. Why other parties have their point of view? Why do you need organization with guns? They can be mainstream. You don't need guns.
Well, you referred to Mizoram, and they wielded guns, and it's not because of that, let's say, that there's been a settlement, but because at the time that was what was around, but their issues were also with guns, settled amicably, and today Mizoram is a thriving state. It's a model state in the Northeast. Now, what are we asking for? We're asking for something similar. The guns were not there to demand a political demand that is in place now. This was primarily there earlier because of local issues. Our guns have never been pointed against the Indian security forces.
I think, you know, we had I'm very happy, Dr. Haokip, that despite differing with you on multiple issues, we could really had a long, unabusive, and sort of, unabusive, because TV, TV tends to become toxic, and an engaging conversation. And I hope to have you again on my show On Point on other issues related to Manipur. I know you are getting calls. Maybe there are people are watching you. I know you are getting calls, but I just want to say thank you at the end. And I hope to have you on my show again so that we can have a meaningful conversation again on many other issues related to Manipur and Northeast.
Just a closing remark from my side. My apologies for any sort of uncomfortable slinging or whatever as you referred to. My problem was the constraint of time. And not from my side, but I thought you were under pressure for time. So next time, maybe we could do it a little more relaxed.
I was relaxed, Dr. Haokip, and the show has not ended. And the show, Dr. Haokip, you are live on TV. Dr. Haokip, you are live on TV. The show has not ended. I was just trying to say that I'm very happy that I could have a meaningful conversation. We differed on a lot of things, especially on the territorial integrity, but I'm happy that at least on TV, we can, in a civil way, we can agree to disagree. Thank you so much, and I hope to have you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.